presence and of the presence is the people who are of the presence bring the presence. And the people who are in the presence are only in the presence because somebody had the passion enough to bring it.
That's it. Amen. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. We're going to get a little deep today because I want you and I to understand that if you can feel the presence of God, you ain't feeling God's presence because you showed up today. You're not feeling God's presence today because your clothes match. The reason why you feel the presence of God is because 2 or 3 got together in the name of Jesus and the Holy Spirit came down into the midst. If you can feel the presence of God, you better thank God that we got people that still know how to pray, still know how to touch heaven, still have a desire for the things of God. Come on, man, we don't want library church. We don't want dead dry church. But I want to be in the presence of God where lives are completely changed. I want to see lives change. I don't want to come to church and just sing a few songs and preach a sermon and go home and nothing be different.
Yeah, that's right.
You can go anywhere and get that, but what's going to be different about this place? What's going to be different about what we do? I'm going to tell you, we are going to be a people of the presence.
Yes.
We are going to be a people who are not going to be satisfied just coming to church and singing a few songs and going home. We're not going to be a people who are going to be mediocre and complacent. That if nobody gets saved today, that we go home and eat just fine. I want that to disrupt your meal this afternoon. If somebody don't get saved today, if somebody don't get healed today, come on, man, we got to push this thing. We need some people that'll put that burden on their back. That'll say, God, we need miracles today. We need deliverance today. God, we want your kingdom to come down into this place. But you better understand that those things don't happen just because. God's kingdom does not fall just because. People are not saved just because. People are not healed just because. Those things happen because somebody made up in their mind that I am not coming to just have church. I am not coming to sing a few songs and go home with nothing different. But it comes down to people who make up in their mind that we need a move of God. Church is not church without His presence. Every song we sing doesn't matter if His presence. Oh, come on, is there anybody of the presence? Some of you sitting there want me to get you worked up. You should have entered into His gates with thanksgiving and into His courts with praise. Ain't nobody ought to tell you to worship. Nobody ought to fucking prime you. You ought to have a praise in your heart. God, you got me through another week. God, you gave me breath in my body. God. Amen. Amen. See, people who are in the presence, they're like the person at the family reunion who's got 10 plates but they didn't bring anything but an appetite. They're the one that's eating all the potato salad and they didn't bring anything. They'll sit in here and soak up the presence of God but didn't lift a finger to make it happen. And have the audacity to go home and say, well, I didn't like that song. I didn't like what he preached. Well, what did you do to change that?
Come on.
Before you criticize what you don't like, tell me what you did to invest in this service today. Before you walk out of here and say, it didn't do nothing for me. Maybe you praise it, didn't do nothing for me either. Maybe you sitting there staring at me, didn't do nothing for me either. But maybe if we come together and say, God, we need a move of God that'll shake this church beyond just what's in these 4 walls. But God, we want to see drug addicts change. Come on, we want to see marriages put back together. We want to see the lost be found. We want to move of God. See, people that are in the presence are only in the presence because somebody was willing to bring it. Just like that cool family reunion, you know, that one family member that had to hitch a ride just to get there, didn't bring anything, didn't offer anything, and the only reason why they're eating is because somebody was willing to get in the kitchen and cook it. If you can feel the presence of God today, it's because somebody got into prayer before they sang a song today. Somebody got in prayer before they took this microphone. If you can feel the presence of God, it's because somebody, that this isn't just a weekend getaway. This is everything to us. This service can be a matter of eternity for somebody. This could be the day you get your miracle. This could be the day that your life is changed forever. Come on, man, we need more than just regular church. We need a move of God.
Amen.
We need lives changed.
Yes.
One brings the presence and the other enjoys what they brought. And I enjoy the presence of the Lord today.
Amen.
But you want to know why I enjoy it so much? Because I help pray it here.
Yeah, that's right.
See, you ain't going to appreciate anything you didn't work for.
That's right. That's right.
That's why people can fill these hallways all service long and never even come in here and lift their hands, not praise God, because they didn't pray about the service anyhow. They could care less if people get saved. But I've been on my face praying for this church because we need a move of God like we've never needed it before. This city's getting darker and darker. More and more people are getting locked up on drugs and alcohol. More and more marriages are splitting up. Come on, man, this has got to be more than just me clocking in and say, I came to church today. No, God, we need your kingdom to come. We need your will to be done. God, I want the broken places in our lives to be put back together in your presence.
Amen.
When you don't work for something, you really don't appreciate it. When you don't work for something, you're not disappointed if it doesn't produce something. But when you put something into it, when you prayed, when you fasted, when you sought heaven, when you cried out to God for more of His presence, you come into this place and you lose track of the time and you don't know who's here and who's not. You don't know who's saying what. You don't know what's going on around you. You're so driven by the presence of God. You're so just centered in the presence of God that when you come here, you ain't worried about who shook your hand and who didn't, who's seen you and who didn't, who snubbed you and who didn't, how hot or how cold it is. But when you have really put your all into this and you are a man or a woman of the presence, you are so presence driven that nothing else matters. That's how lives are changed. That's how broken hearts are put back together. That's how addictions are falling off. That's how marriages are fixed. That's how families are fixed. That's how bodies are healed.
Amen.
Not because we have the magic formula.
Right.
Not because we said the right words, but because we're a people of the presence.
Amen.
The reason why Israel succeeded, the reason why Israel defeated armies, the reason why they wiped out entire armies, the reason why Israel came out of bondage of slavery in Egypt and they made their way to the promised land is because every step of the way, the very tabernacle was at the center of their camp. God stayed at the center. Everything we do must center around God's presence. If we want the services to work, if we want people's lives to be changed, if we want a move of God, then it can't be about who's preaching and it can't be about who's singing. It's got to be about Him. Because you got to reduce yourself to the place that says, God, if you're not in this, none of this means anything. Every word we're saying means nothing, God, if you're not in it. Every song we sing means nothing, God, if you're not in it. We can have small group every night, but if God's not in it, we're just being a small group every night. But we need God to literally wreck our plans. We need God to turn our things upside down. It needs to come to the point that, God, if nobody says a word, if nobody sings a song, that lives are still changed, that hearts are still changed.
Yeah. Amen.
People who do nothing can easily shrug it off, but see, people who have invested in this, people who have poured their heart into this, they're so presence driven that if there's not breakthrough, they go back to where they prayed and say, God, what can I do differently? When I'm praying for the sick and they're not healed, the first thing I don't do is ask them what's wrong with them. I go back to my prayer closet and I say, God, that's my assignment. I'm supposed to lay hands on the sick and then recover. God, if you're not healing people through me, I've got to get back into my prayer closet and I've got to seek your face and make sure that I'm in line with you, making sure that your presence is the center of my life. Israel was so presence-centered that everything they did was centered around that tabernacle, that place where God's presence was. Listen, you've got to get to that place where you are so immersed in His presence that everything that you say, everything that you do, everything that you think, everything you crave and desire, everything that you pursue is centered around His very presence. More than just you coming and being in His presence. More than just somebody around you creating an atmosphere. But you got enough in you today that if nobody else stood up and lifted their hands in prayer, if nobody else worshiped, that you be up praising God. That you be up worshiping God. Because you are a person, you are a man, a woman of the presence. See, Moses, he led and he created a culture in the nation of Israel to be a people of the presence. To literally situate their entire lives around that tabernacle. To situate their entire lives around that tent that housed the very glory of God. God's presence was the most valuable thing in their lives. Above all the riches, above all the gold, above all the tents and all the cattle and all everything they had. With millions of people, they were very rich. They had everything. They had cattle, they had gold, they had jewels, they had everything. Every time they went in and wiped out an army, they took all the plunder. They took all the gold and all the fine linen. They took everything. They took their cattle. They took everything. They were like a big snowball. The more they rolled, the more blessed they got. That's a message right there. The more they rolled, the more they followed God. I'm about to preach it anyhow. The more they stayed faithful to God, the more blessed they got. The more that they increased. And so here is Israel. It didn't matter what they possessed. It didn't matter what they obtained. It didn't matter who they defeated. The most important, most valuable thing in their lives in that entire nation of people was the presence of God. God, does this suit your presence? God, does this complement your presence? God, does this accommodate your presence? God, does this please you? God, does this grieve your presence? Everything that they did was centered around the presence of God. Because the presence of God was the most valuable thing that they possessed. The presence of God in their lives, in their nation, in their people was of utmost value to them, that they guarded it with their lives. They guarded it with everything. They did not just leave the presence of God to just sit out in a camp somewhere. No, all 12 tribes of Israel, and broke it up into the 4 divisions plus the Levites. Everything they did surrounded the presence, and the tabernacle of God sat safely in the middle. They let nothing touch that presence. They let nothing displease that presence. Everything was about that presence. They were not just the people who had flashes of emotion. They were not people who just came to church and got a few goosebumps and, I'm going to do things differently, but to go home and do nothing differently. They were not a people who just pleased God whenever it was battle time and pleased God when they needed something. But these were a people that stayed faithful to God in lack. And they stayed faithful to God in love. Come on, I want you to understand this is deeper than just what you feel in this room. The presence of God in our lives is deeper than just a song and a sermon. But it is everything that you do. His presence in your life has got to be the most valuable thing that you possess. That value for Israel's, the value that Israel put on the presence of God was measured by how aggressively they protected it. The value that Israel placed on the presence of God was measured by how aggressively they pursued it. See, I have no trouble discovering somebody's value system for the presence of God by looking at the way you live. By seeing how you worship. Honestly, I think there's people, if you'd worship, things in your life would change. If you would get out of yourself for 5 stinking seconds, that something in your life would change. But we sit here in the presence of the healer and we whine about being sick. We sit in the presence of the deliverer and we whine about our problem. God is saying, if you would just worship me and realize, I don't need you to whine, I need you to worship. I don't need you to worry, I need you to worship. Because when you worship, you're saying, God, you've got this covered.
Yes, amen.
You and I will only experience the measure of His presence that we are willing to guard and protect. Let that sink in, please let that sink in. You and I will only experience the measure of His presence that you are willing to guard and protect. Our lives, the things that we say, the things we do, the things we think, what we pursue, the things that we crave, will bear the value that we placed on God's presence in our life. how aggressively you go after him tells me exactly how much he means to you. How mindfully you pursue him, how mindful you are of him tells me everything about how much he means to you. How you consider him tells me everything I need to know about how much he means to you. Your willingness to worship in the house of God tells me everything I need to know about how much God means to you.
Mom.
You can say you love God, but God said, your heart's saying something different. He said, you praise me with your lips, but your hearts are far from me. You can say you love God. You can sing how great is our God. But if you ain't living this every day, I got to know that what you're doing out there is matching what you're doing in here. Anybody can praise God in here. Anybody can lift up their hands when everybody else is singing. But what about tomorrow morning when the alarm goes off and it's Monday and you got to go back to the weekly grind? What about when somebody offends you? What about when somebody says something you don't like? What about when your marriage comes under attack? What about when your health comes under attack? Come on, what about when it's not for better but it's for worse? What if it's not about in health but it's in sin? Come on, how devoted have you become to him? How devoted have we become to him? Because it's in those moments. Listen, I get it, man. People can say they're with you, but when you hit rock bottom and they're nowhere to be found, they're not really with you.
That's right.
When you're broken and you're a mess and you need somebody and they're not there, you realize that they're not really with you. Even though when you have money, they're like, hey, buddy, hey, cuz. You know, you want a little bit of money, you get a little bit of money, all of a sudden you got friends and family you didn't have.
Amen.
You remember me, right? From grade school. People can say they're with you, and most of the time they will be when you're put together, when you don't require any work, when you don't require any patience. But I'm going to tell you who's really with you is when you hit rock bottom and you're in hell, those people that get down in that hell with you. Those people who laid down that rock bottom with you. Listen, man, go through hell. The ones that are still with you are the people that you can count on. Let me tell you, God ain't looking for people who just want to sign up on the weekends, who's going to be with him when the bills are being paid, who's going to serve him when you're healthy, serve him when you're rich. But what about when you ain't got a dollar in your pocket? What about when you ain't got enough gas to get to work, but you still come to church on Sunday? What about when you give and you have nothing to give? When you're broken, but you still praise? When you're lost, but you still believe? Those are the people that have really devoted themselves to God's presence. When you've got the guts and you've got the audacity to crush every idol in your life, anything that stands between you and God, that it loses its value, because God's presence is the most valuable thing that you possess in your life. Israel's entire existence was summed up with one sentence: a people of the presence. Israel, the entire nation of Israel, over 1 million people, were all summed up with one sentence: a people of the presence. Because they were a people that guarded the presence of God in their life. They let nothing in that displeased God. Because if they wanted victory, they had to crush the idols. If they wanted prosperity, they had to crush the idols. If they wanted to please God, if they didn't want God to open the ground up and swallow about 60,000 of them, they crushed the idols. See, that's what's crazy, man. Someone's got all hell breaking loose in their life. You're rebuking the devil. You need to look in the mirror and rebuke yourself. You're the reason all that's happening. If you crush the idols in your life, you'd feel God's presence again. You'd have his provision again. He'd be faithful again. But the problem is we've learned to no longer protect his presence. See, protecting your presence looks like this: that everything that comes in your life is measured by a value system. If it doesn't add value to God's presence, it doesn't come in. It looks like this: I draw a line in my life, and nothing crosses that line if it does not go with his presence. That value system looks like this. If it does not suit his presence, if it does not accommodate his presence, if it does not match his presence, it doesn't come in. Israel became a people that their entire existence was that. God, your presence. You want to know how to guard his presence. You start building fences around it. You build fences around your life. You build fences around your mind. You build fences around your marriage. You build fences around your kids. Build fences around your home. Step on all that junk into your house and want to know why the devil's got lordship over your home and your marriage and your family. If you build fences around that house of God, I told you on Father's Day, we are all individual homes made up to be one big home, but your home is just as much a church as this is. Just some of us, we ain't worshiping God, we're worshiping the enemy, because that's who you let in your home through everything you watch, look at, see, hear, people you let in, people you condone. But man, when you start building fences around your life and you start protecting the very presence of God, you guard it by building fences. And you let nothing into your home, you let nothing into your life, you let nothing in around you that does not add value to his presence. His presence has to be the thing that we value most. Israel's entire nation revolved around the presence. God did not revolve around them. They revolved around God. They didn't fit God into their schedule. They situated their schedule around God. His presence was at the center. They did not build their cities and build their homes and build their tents the way they wanted them and then try to squeeze God in wherever he fits. No, they put the tabernacle down first and they built around it. They make God's presence the centerpiece of their nation, the centerpiece of their government, the centerpieces of their finances, every relationship, absolutely everything that Israel did. They put the very presence of God at the center. I want you to understand this today, LiFeSource. You are grossly deceived if you think that your life can look any less and God be pleased. You're highly, extremely deceived if you think that God will be in second place and be okay. And unfortunately, that would be a major upgrade for some. If we think that God can just fit in our busy schedules and fit in our crazy lives, if we think that God is okay with us coming to church on Sunday and living like the devil all week long, if we think that God's satisfied with that, if we think he's okay with that, you have been grossly deceived. If you think that God is fine just fitting his little pinky toe in your busy life, then you're deceived. God has got to be the center of your... I'm saying, you can look at me, you can daydream, you can play on Facebook, I'm still going to say it. If God is not the center of your life, his presence is not pleased. The Old Testament is filled to the brim of passages where God said, there is none above me and there are none beside me. I will not share my glory with another. You'll have no other gods before me. You'll have nothing else in my place. God says, for my blessing, for my provision, you will put me at the center. God commanded Israel, every time they went into a new territory, the first thing that God said was, crush the idols. Crush the idols. Crush those things that think they're me. Crush those things that take my place in your life. Crush those things that you love more than you love my presence. Crush those things that you pursue more than you pursue my presence. Crush those excuses as to why you can't pray, why you can't give, why you can't be faithful. Crush the idols. Crush the things that you would say, if it wasn't for this, I could be faithful. If it wasn't for that, I could be holy. If it wasn't for that, I'd be everything that God wants me to be. If you've got a thing in your life, it's become an idol, and God says, crush the idols. I want to push us as a church to go beyond just being in his presence. People are in the presence all the time, but it changes nothing. People are in the presence all the time, and they feel his presence, but it changes nothing. God is calling us today to be a people of his presence.
Yes, yes.
That we are no longer satisfied being godly here, but nowhere else. That we are no longer satisfied with just feeling a little goosebumps, thinking about God from time to time, satisfying ourselves with religious rhetoric, but not having him so deep in your heart that he's all you think about, that he's all you think about, he's all you talk about, he's all you want. The things that you crave says everything about your heart. The things that you want with everything in your being, that's your God. What you can't stop thinking about is your God. What you want with all your heart, that is your God. And if it is not the God, you've got an idol in your life. You say, Pastor, why are you not saying things that make us happy? So let me tell you something. I don't want to deceive you. I don't want you to keep coming to me asking me for prayer in situations that you can change. You don't have to pray about it. Crush some idols in your life. Stop saying I can be faithful in giving if I had this money. No, if you would put God above everything else in your life, you wouldn't struggle giving.
Right.
If God stopped being the last thing you focus on, you wouldn't struggle being faithful in the house of God. You wouldn't struggle making the right decisions. You wouldn't struggle doing what you know is right. Listen to me, man, because this thing's going to come to an end, and God's not coming looking for a half-time bride. God is looking for somebody that is pure and holy, unadulterated, that was waiting for him and said, God, I'm abstaining from the world. I'm abstaining from sin. I'm going to be a pure bride. Come on, how many would stay with someone that's cheating on you? How many of you hang out that long? God's looking for pure brides. God is looking for people who are waiting for him, watching for him, abstaining from sin, abstaining from all the world, all the idols. God is looking for a people his presence is the most valuable thing in your life. Moses in Exodus 33, he was so presence-driven. He was so presence-centered that he had the audacity to say these very words to God. God, if your presence doesn't go, we don't go. God, if your presence doesn't go, we don't go. Because there's nothing that I can imagine wanting that does not totally revolve around you. There's nothing that I could imagine desiring that is anything less than you. God, there's nothing that I can imagine being passionate about of anything other than you. God, we want you. God, we desire you. And if your presence isn't in it, we don't want it. I know that's not popular in 2017. I understand I don't win big crowds, but God is still looking for a people that says, God, if your presence isn't in it, I don't want it. God, if you're not about this relationship, I'm not going to be in that relationship. If you're not in that decision, I don't want it. If you're not in that job, I don't want it. God, if you're not in this move, I don't want it. If you're not in that direction, come on, we've got to get to that place that we protect God's presence. God, if your presence doesn't go, imagine, man, all through Scripture, God says, I'll always be with you. God says, I'm with you. I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. Yet in Exodus 33:3, God says, Moses, you can have your promised land, but you'll take it without me. I promised you the promised land, so I'm going to give you the promised land. You can have the land that's flowing with milk and honey. You can have all these trees. You can have all the stuff. You can have all the money, but you're going to take it without me. In Exodus 33:3, God says, you can have it all, but you're not going to have me with you. Go ahead, Moses, go. Take the people of Israel and go. But God says, if I went with you, I'd probably kill every one of you. You're a bit so mad at somebody, like, dude, we just need to be alone for a minute. You're been so mad at somebody, like, dude, don't even be around me right now because I seriously want to punch you. Listen, that's what God was telling Israel. God said, look, I understand we're on a time restraint here and you need to go to the promised land. You just better go because he said, if I go with you, I'll probably consume every one of you. You want to know why God said that? Because the same thing people are doing today. They want to please God on Sunday and they want to live in sin on Monday. They want to come and talk about how much they love God, but they want to break every command He made. They want to come and sing how great is our God, but they'll sit in front of a television for 5 hours but can't pray for 10 minutes. Walk around on a shopping trip for 5 hours but can't walk 5 blocks to pass out tracts. I know this ain't normal, guys, but listen, man. We're crying for His presence in this church. Not some coffee shop church. I'm not interested. We didn't start LiFeSource in the living room to get to this point and fall apart.
That's right.
We've recycled 20 times. I'm not interested. I want people who say, God, I want to be pure and I want to be holy. God, I want to please you. God, I don't care about the stuff. I don't care about the things. I don't care about this world. You can take this whole world, but give me Jesus. Give me His presence, man. Give me God. That's all I want. I don't care if nobody else wants it. I want God. God told Moses, look, I said I'd give you the promised land. Have it. Go run off. Be happy. It reminds me, Brother Sonny, of Romans 1. Where God says, look, if you want to live a simple lifestyle, here, go do it. But you're going to do it without me. Because there comes a point that God says, look, if you don't want me, go on. And He turns people over to a reprobate mind. You know what that looks like? That's somebody who knows they're living in sin, but does nothing about it. Feels no conviction. They lay their head on their pillow at night knowing if I died, I'd go to hell. It means nothing to them. They don't change. They don't call me and say, hey, Pastor, get me to the church now, baptize me. We've got to do something different. I've got to change. No, they just get up and go to work. They get on the highway. They do everything that can take their life, knowing they're living in sin, knowing they ain't doing right, knowing they ain't pleasing God, knowing that somebody's going to walk out here and sin as soon as you get home, but it doesn't change anything. We'll go right out this door, not come to this altar, not surrender our lives to God. And we want to know why we feel like we feel. We want to know why we ain't feeling God. We want to know why there's no blessing. I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because God's not going to be a roommate with an idol. God's not going to be a roommate with sin. God's not going to be a roommate with all the trash of the world. God is saying, I will be God. I will be your Lord. I'll be everything to you. And Moses said in Exodus 33:15, he said, God, if your presence doesn't go, we don't go. I want you to understand that. Moses said, the very thing that I've lived my whole life for, I've traveled thousands of miles for on foot. There has been shed blood shed for this promised land. You understand, when God called Moses to call the people of Israel out of Egypt, you know why He said that? Because He said, I'm going to take you to the promised land. God said, I'm going to give you the promised land. I'm going to give you a land flowing with milk and honey. That's why this whole journey happened to begin with. Somewhere along the way, somewhere on that journey, they lost their conviction. Somewhere along the journey, they didn't have the heart for God like they had. And God got to that very point that God said, listen, if you want the promised land, you can have it, but I'm not going. What does it take for a man, Brother Curry, to take the very thing that he shed blood for, lost his friends and family for, gave his all for, gave up his life in Egypt that he had. He gave up everything for it, to look at it and say, God, it means nothing without you. God, I get it. I get it. I've traveled all this way. I get it that, Moses, do you understand? God is giving you everything you prayed for. Do you get that, Moses? I do. But if it's not with Him, I don't want it. But Moses, what are the people of Israel going to think? They've lost their grandmas and grandpas in battle. this, I'm sure they're going to be mad. But I'd rather please God and offend them than offend God and please them. Oh, but Moses, don't you understand? You've given everything to this. Don't you understand that God will bless you? God will forgive you? No. Moses said, no, you don't understand. If God is not in this, I don't want it. Moses had it so embedded in his heart to protect and guard the presence of God in his life that when even God tried to reverse it, Moses said, no. God, no. This will be my new promised land if that's what it takes, because I cannot live without you. That's what God is calling this church to. Thursday night, you know what happened in this church Thursday night? A lot of people went home. But to nearly 11 o'clock, there was about 10 people in the sanctuary crying their eyes out to God, saying, God, we want you. That's what we need in this church. That's what this city's looking for. This city's not looking for some church full of a bunch of mannequins who have no life in them, who forgot where God brought them from, who don't know how to talk about the goodness of God, that dare have the audacity to sit in His presence and not worship Him and not praise Him. God is looking for people that'll say, I don't care what time it is. I don't care that I got to get up tomorrow. God, we want you. We need your presence. We need your power. Your presence is our most valuable, guys. Some of you come, my brother. What value do you place on the presence of God? Will you answer that question honestly? Because let me tell you something. I can't answer that question for you. Only you can. Only you can be the one that sets that value on His presence. See, the value of God being with Moses outweighed the promised land. The value of God's presence outweighed all the riches. The value, oh come on now, of God's presence outweighed all the financial security. The value of God's presence outweighed everything he thought he couldn't live without. You understand there's people that think they can't live without a man. They'd rather go to hell with one than to go to heaven single. So people so in love with money, they'd rather go to hell rich than to go to heaven broke. I know that I understand we're in the 2017. I understand that there's churches filling up with 3, 4, 5,000, 50,000, but that ain't what moves the heart of God. God is looking for a remnant of people that'll say, God, I don't care what time brings. I don't care what fads, what trends. I don't care what year we're in. God, your presence is still all that matters in the Piles household. I don't care what the world thinks. I don't care what Hollywood's doing. God, your presence is all that matters in my home. My dad raised me with this very scripture. Back in the day when we had landlines. My son goes, Dad, you still got the phones with the curly things on the end of it? Brock say, Dad, do they have cars? And you're like, come on, Brock. Back when we used to have landlines, my dad would put on our answering machine. Joshua 24:15 said, he didn't say, hello, sorry you couldn't reach the Piles residence. Sorry we can't get to the phone. No, as soon as you called us and we didn't answer, it says, Joshua 24:15 says, choose you this day to whom you're going to serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Listen, you got to come to that place. Because this in and out, up and down roller coaster church doesn't please God. This being in church on Sunday, out of the church on Monday doesn't please God. Being holy one day, unholy the next doesn't please God. But LiFeSource, choose you this day to whom you're going to serve. But for the Piles house, for the Piles house, we will serve the Lord. We will be holy. We will be godly. We will put God at the center. Our lifestyle will put the value on God's presence. The things that we okay, accept, and condone says everything about what you think about His presence. What you say, what you do, what you think, what you post on Facebook, what you post on Twitter, what you buy, what you spend your money on, what you go after is how you have measured God's value of His presence. How faithful you are in your walk with God. How faithful you are in giving. How faithful you are in worship. How faithful you are in serving is the value that you placed on His presence. In LiFeSource, God is calling a people to be a people of His presence. You understand what God's doing? God is positioning this church for a crazy revival.
Amen.
God is positioning this church for every kind of lifestyle to come walking into this building. Every kind of addiction to come walking into this building. Every kind of past to come walking into this building. Every kind of mess you can think of. Dragging all the baggage they can't into this church. God is looking for a church. He's positioning this church to be a table big enough to bring the city in. But you have to understand something. When they come, this table's got to be ready.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
This table's got to be set.
Amen.
This table's got to be prepared.
Yeah.
And we don't need a bunch of whiners at the table. What about me, Pastor? You didn't call me in 3 days. Yeah, because we're praying people through to the Holy Ghost.
Amen. Come on.
Pastor, I need time. No, what you need to do is get in the altar and pray. Learn how to walk with God. There's going to be people coming to church so broken. It's going to be all hands on deck. We're going to need people that know how to pray, that know how to seek His face. I pray it all the time. Every week I pray. I pace this altar. God, bless this altar with backsliders. God, bless this altar with the lost. Bless this altar with the broken. God, we don't want just an altar where we come and stand and go home. But God, we want to see life birth in this altar.
Amen.
I want to see lives changed in this altar. And I am sending out a call in this church. I'm sending out a call to every heart in this church. I'm sending out an invitation.